So a few hours after I recorded that video on New Genesis with my first reaction and how I thought about it and everything like that, and I went to sleep and then woke up to basically more information that they posted. So I kind of wish I recorded that video a little bit later, but you know, it's okay because we're going to talk about everything now. But here's a disclaimer. I'm not going to specifically talk about like the new features of the Genesis game and everything like that, but I'm rather going to talk about how it affects us as a whole as current Phantasy Star Online 2 players. Because I think that's the most burning question that we all have right now. Should I start playing PSO2 now? Like, what's going on with New Genesis? Like, is this game going to be like the new PSO now? Or like, are we going to trash the old PSO2, etc, etc, etc. There's a lot of concerns, of course, but we'll address all of them. Good morning, Burbs. My name is Azalara, and let's talk about how PSO2 New Genesis affects us as PSO2 players currently. Now, before anything, I would like to say that not all information right now is like fully complete. There's still quite a few things that are unclear and stuff that are not confirmed, but there's also still plenty of stuff that is kind of like confirmed more or less, but they're still subject to change. So regardless, let's go over them. First of all, Phantasy Star Online 2 New Genesis is a completely different game from Phantasy Star Online 2, period. So for the sake of this video for now, I'll call Phantasy Star Online 2 as just PSO2, the one we're playing right now, and then the new game as New Genesis. So us right now as a player, we'll be able to transfer our character over between the two games. What this means is when New Genesis comes out, say you're playing the North American version of Phantasy Star Online 2 right now, you can basically just play New Genesis with your current account, like your Microsoft account and everything, and you will have all your characters there in New Genesis. Same with the Japanese version, that you will have to log in with your SEGA ID and you will basically have all your information there, like all your characters, all your everything like that. However, all the progress and everything will be reset to 0 to actually accommodate for balancing the game's economy and also progress and everything like that, since New Genesis is a new game after all. So stuff that's confirmed so far, like say the skill rings, consumables, boosters, materials, room items, and the like that helps towards progress and all, will not be shared. However, weapons, units, and mags obtained in PSO2 itself can be used in New Genesis. However, their functions, abilities, and appearances will temporarily change, is what they wrote. I don't know exactly what the temporarily change means, but the better way to put it is just basically their appearance and everything will look the same. However, their functions, abilities, and maybe a bit of like appearance here and there will slightly change just a little. So yeah, you can still use the same weapons that you got from the current PSO2 into New Genesis, but it's just going to be changed to fit with that game more. On the further information, it did say also that some higher rarity weapons may not be equipable with your character until your character has reached a certain level, and also weapons pertaining to classes that have not yet been added to New Genesis will stay unusable until the relevant classes has been released. And more or less it's also the same thing with the units, right? Their stats, their fixes, augments, potential, everything will just change to be in accordance with New Genesis's game itself. Now, one thing that you might have heard a lot about PSO2 is that, hey, don't mess up your mag, yada 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 mag, right? In PSO2 New Genesis, mags will not affect your stats or aid you in battle at all. So they're kind of just like pets, I guess. But you know, the evolution device data and everything from PSO2 will carry over, so I guess they're more or less just going to be companions in New Genesis. Haha! All in all though, you don't have to worry about anything because everything that you use from PSO2 into New Genesis will retain the original functions and everything in PSO2, of course. And then we'll have to wait for information to see if any progress from New Genesis will also carry on to PSO2, or maybe we'll get some, say, oh, if you play New Genesis you can get some more star gems, or like maybe there's just some linkage there, like how PSO2 does with PSO2 ES. So kind of like in my eyes, I kind of look at PSO2 New Genesis as a glorified PSO2 ES in a way. You can't blame me for that one, right? But for those who don't know though, just to quickly explain, PSO2 ES is basically the phone version of PSO2, where it's basically the same account, same data, same everything, but it's a completely different game. And then of course there's still some like progress and link that you can cross over with the actual PSO2. So yeah, so I would imagine New Genesis would be just about the same. Oh, also, Ark's Cash, AC, and SG or Star Gems will also be shared between both games. So I guess if you really wanted to, you can kind of like save up your AC and SG stuff. Although I would imagine like the AC scratches for fashion and everything would probably share exactly the same for New Genesis and the regular PSO2. Like for example, there's a new scratch, right? It's going to be exactly the same costumes in PSO2 and New Genesis, so that when say the New Genesis players want to come play PSO2, you get the exact same fashion. And that's also the same with PSO2 players going back into New Genesis as well. So which means that they're just going to update both games simultaneously or something like that, right? So like all the fashion, all the stuff is just going to be the same, but the game balancing and the game systems and updates are just going to be a bit different. So now a few of you might ask me, how are they going to do that? And this is the most juicy part of the whole thing that I really wanted to talk about, and probably the most important part as well. The Phantasy Star Online 2 graphics engine will also be overhauled or updated to match Phantasy Star Online 2 New Genesis. While we don't have footage of the new Phantasy Star Online 2 graphics itself, we know that it will be overhauled. The engine will be overhauled to match with New Genesis, which means that effectively the two games will be using the same graphics engine, which means that they can update both games simultaneously very easily. However, what is the difference is just that the gameplay of Phantasy Star Online 2 and New Genesis will just be different because, well, they're different games. Which is why I said at the very beginning that New Genesis is more or less an expansion towards PSO2 in which you can choose which game you want to play. Or both. That's on you. So yeah, honestly, that's about everything that we need to know, I suppose so, when it comes to PSO2 and New Genesis' relationship. It's going to bring more players who are more interested in a new game to try it out, play it, and then maybe they'll come over to the original PSO2 and check it out what's going on. It'll be a different yet similar experience, and that's the beauty of it, honestly. I don't play that many games personally, so I can't really like put up a proper comparison and stuff like that, but honestly, this kind of sets the show, or rather set the stage for the future that, you know, all your progress and everything that you keep playing in Phantasy Star will just keep continuing to stay in the future. Like, if they can upgrade the engine and just like make all the emotes, all the costumes, all the everything just like go over and be a new game while still being similar to its own, it's gonna be amazing. Imagine say like if Phantasy Star Online 3 came out, right? And then we can get our progress all from PSO2 and put it into Phantasy Star Online 3 and literally play the whole game over, but with basically what is existing already. Oh my lord, that would be amazing. And honestly, I can't think from the top of my head any game that would have ever done anything like that before. Because to me, this feels revolutionary. And it's just absolutely amazing to see that, oh my lord, they're actually doing this kind of thing now. So what's going to happen in the future, right? It's only going to get more and more exciting and more innovative. And it just feels like the world is just more and more connected. Because especially for us, we're MMO players, right? We always pride ourselves on, oh, I've spent this many hours grinding for this one thing, right? And say, oh, I guess my game is shutting down now, and that's just sad. But for Phantasy Star Online 2's case, it's just going to live on. It literally is just going to live on in the future to come. And that's just so exciting to me. Now, as for the short-term future, what's going to happen with me personally and New Genesis, right, is I'm definitely playing New Genesis. Like, what's the harm, right? I can have and see like all my girls in freaking 4K, and that's gonna be amazing. But the thing is, personally for me, even if New Genesis does exist, they are still updating PSO2. They are still overhauling PSO2. There's still so much content and everything to come. And honestly, I think that I probably will still play the original PSO2 probably more than New Genesis. Only because probably it's just me with my personal attachment with PSO2 as a whole, but then I can always go over to New Genesis to play and see all the new things and everything like that, right? So I think it's just a win-win, really. So now with all that said and everything, what do you think about New Genesis and the whole new system of actually being able to transfer just about everything over from Phantasy Star Online 2, the original game? It's a whole new game that doesn't tarnish what existed in the previous game. And it's not like they're killing off PSO2, like I said, they're just expanding over it. So it's just gonna be a kind of like a reboot more or less, but also help maybe bring players over to PSO2 as well. Oh man, this is just so exciting. I probably should stop talking before I literally don't stop. But before I close off this video, I just want to say one thing. For those who made it to the end at least, did you know that the NA version of the follow-up video actually is shortened by like 4 seconds compared to the JP version? Because they had to cut out this. Because censorship and everything like that in North America. I just found it a little bit funny, so there's nothing crazy to worry about. Don't worry about that. So with all that said and done, of course, I'm going to leave all the information and everything in the links in the description below, so check those out. And of course, feel free to also type in the comments and everything. Let's start a discussion. What do you all think about this? Like, are you super hyped? What's going on? Like, are you going to play New Genesis more? Are you going to play PSO2 more? Well, I guess it might be a little too early to say because we don't know how New Genesis plays with, or well, we don't have enough information yet. But yeah, let's have a good discussion about this. And I'll also see you next time when we have more information. Since there's going to be PSO2 Station or the developers live stream on the 8th of August, we're probably going to get a lot more information regarding this as well as some of the new exciting stuff in PSO2 as well. So with that, hope you're all doing well, stay excited, spread the news, be happy, because we're in for a banger of 2021 when PSO2 really becomes a big thing now. I genuinely hope this is the ticket to make Phantasy Star become relevant again in the market, just like how, say, Monster Hunter did with Monster Hunter World and everything like that. So the future, we'll just have to see what happens. But for now, don't forget to smile, take care of yourself, and I'll see you all next time.